Hey, so, why did that go funny? Can you still see me? Hey, how you doing? Um, God, I suck at these intros, don't I? It's becoming a thing. It's brand. I'm doing it. That's intentional. Um, what's this video about? Oh yeah, the Calvin Johnson Index. It was a big thing last year, and I got just sick of arguing about combine numbers, and so, kind of as a joke, I just made a formula for wide receivers, and I ended up making it for the other tabs just because I like continuity. But the idea was I wanted to compare on some basic physical metrics who was the most like Calvin Johnson, because it got to a point where I was just like, you just want to draft Calvin Johnson every draft, man, and he doesn't exist. He came, he was great, he left, there's no more. Like, there's no more Calvin Johnson. I mean, he's just gone. He's off living his best life. Stop trying to draft him. And so that was the honest motivation of it. And I think I did a video of it even back then when I wasn't really trying to grind YouTube like I am right now. And the reason is because Chase Claypool and Laviska Shenault were getting physical comparisons to him. And honestly, I didn't find Laviska Shenault very convincing as a Calvin Johnson. But Chase Claypool did come out as the most Calvin Johnson-like. On the scale as it worked out, because I didn't put too much work into it, to be honest with you, it just weights their height, weight, BMI, and 40 time compared to, essentially, Calvin Johnson. Literally. And the scale goes from, like, I think you can get minus scores, actually, all the way up to 329. Why 329? Because that's what Calvin Johnson scored. So, and Chase Claypool scored 328. Now, I'm throwing out Chase Claypool's names. You're like, oh, this is no, it was entirely a meme. And in fact, it was just a funny thing I found about a prospect I definitely didn't think was going to hit. And I've already made a video apologizing. No, trying to figure out why I was wrong on Chase Claypool. And I don't think it was because of his physicals, but clearly his physicals are part of how he plays, and so that's an essential part to how he plays. I just don't think being Calvin Johnson is an essential part to how DeAndre Hopkins plays, or Jarvis Landry, or Odell Beckham. Like, they play like themselves. So, anyway, that's the meme. And I realized I hadn't talked about it in this year's class, but it's because we just had pro days in the 2021 class, just in case you're from the future. In which case, could you let me know how that worked out, please? Comments? I would like to know. But I do have pro day numbers in there, and I was like, I haven't refixed that combine thing because I actually don't care. And so I went back and I repopulated and fixed a few things that were wrong, because now I'm reporting zeros instead of dashes, and you don't care. Anyway, when you put a zero in there, they get a result. When you put an NA or a dash, it doesn't give the result, it gives an error, and it knows what to do with that. But if it just has a zero, it was just giving players like 500 and 600 scores, which isn't what we wanted. Because like running a 40-yard dash in 0 seconds, it really thought that was pretty special, you know? So I fixed that, and a few other outlier players that numbers differ from NFL.com. And I thought, just let's look at the Calvin Johnson Index for the 2021 class. And to be clear, it only works if I have their height, weight, so I can do their BMI, and the BMI is in there, and a 40 time. So players that I don't have those four things on, not in here. So, yeah, just throwing that out. And to be real clear again, I'm not saying, therefore, these players are good. Like, I honestly do not believe this means you're good. I believe Calvin Johnson was good, and he was that size, so he played that way. I think it's a secondary thing. But let's not get into it right here. Let's have some fun, you know? Who's the most Calvin Johnson like in the 2021 wide receiver class? You will not guess his name. You probably will, actually. You're pretty sharp. I know you. Got it? You guessed one? Let's find out. It's Jalen Camp. Yeah, that wasn't exciting. I mean, like I say, you personally definitely got it right. I don't think most people will be like, yes, Jalen Camp. Yeah, he scored a 302. Now, to be real clear, again, Chase Claypool scored 328, and Calvin Johnson scores 329. So 300 is not that Calvin Johnson-y. For some comparisons for last year's class, like Laviska Shenault scored a 300, so did Joe Reed. And you notice these guys are differently sized, like with the BMI, it doesn't really do a great job of explaining body type because we don't do that well, but 300 is not very common at all. It's a significantly high score, significantly more Calvin Johnson-like than most players, but it's a far cry from Chase Claypool, to be perfectly honest with you. And again, that just kind of fits with the narrative, as this is a really undersized and under-athletic class. It really is. And the first name that's interesting, I mean, I'm assuming there'll be a guy that hits off this list, and I'll just feel owned once again by my own Calvin Johnson index. But it's actually Jamar Chase, and you can't see it because of this stupid little speech bubble. Let me move that. Jamar Chase scored 265 in the Calvin Johnson index. Rondale Moore, 260, because he's shorter, remember? And it weights this proportionally to how relevant it is to production, which is not at all, because combined numbers aren't that relevant to production. So yeah, anyway, it does weight it, like being shorter isn't as important as being faster, for example. Either way, those are the two first names that show up. Amari Rodgers, I know some people are big fans of. He's technically slightly more Calvin Johnson-like than Chase. He scored 266 instead of 265. And I know this scale, it's like, what does that number mean? Again, I gave you the reference. 329 is perfect. I should turn it into a percentage or something, but I haven't, because I'm not going to take it that seriously. But Amari Rodgers have gone off to Green Bay with third-round draft capital, and there you go. He's the most Calvin Johnson-like in the 2021 class, and he is not very Calvin Johnson-like for comparison. And the main reason he got Amari Rodgers got up there, he's got a 31 BMI based on being 212 pounds and just under, what is that? 6'9" tall, and Calvin Johnson was not that, but his BMI is helping him out a lot there. And Jalen Camp, his BMI is actually slightly off because NFL.com says 220, not 226, but I just kept it where it is for right now, and that's what gives him that 302 score, because he is 6'2". So he's taller, more Calvin Johnson-like, as you can see, and 220 pounds, which is again more Calvin Johnson-like. And he also ran a 4.48, which is not Calvin Johnson, but it's more Calvin Johnson-like. Exactly. Yeah, we're saying it together at this point, I imagine. That's it. I got no other content for this. It's a silly little index that I find pretty fun. And I was just making fun. If you're interested, I did all this when we looked at it the first time, but again, that was before I was trying on YouTube. I was going to say big on YouTube, and then not even I can pull that lie off. But Matt Jones was actually as Calvin Johnson-y as Calvin Johnson. If you remember Matt Jones, he was a big bust, actually, based on, we like physical stuff a lot more than that, but he's actually pretty productive. Interesting story there. And then Chase Claypool was the next closest. Ricky Seals-Jones, who eventually turned into a tight end, apparently, is the next result after that. And then Calvin Benjamin. And you can see the drop-off. Like, Calvin Benjamin wasn't Calvin Johnson-like, but you also do know he's freaking huge, right? And Calvin Johnson was freaking huge. And the real difference was that Calvin Johnson was also a 4.35. And Benjamin was only running a 4.61 because we forgot that threshold because it stopped working, as they all stopped working. But yeah, I think it's pretty fun. Dorial Green Beckham comes up here. Like, it kind of passes the eye test of who is the most Calvin Johnson-like. And hopefully, if nothing else, it shows you no one is really Calvin Johnson-like physically. It's kind of a myth. But yeah, I thought it was fun. And I just noticed it and repopulated it. I haven't put it in the updated version, the public version yet, but next time I update it, it'll be in there. Just in case you want to have some fun or understand what that column's about, I guess. Now, to be fair, there is value in just putting highly athletic players on the end of your bench, because if you've got nothing else to bet on, you're just casting around some stuff, and you don't feel like rostering the next frickin' Tanner Gentry, who broke my heart several times on the Bears. Just stash some athletic guys. I mean, that's, as far as I can tell, the only way to get the next Tyreek Hill, but also a whole bunch of other guys that never work out. And so Jalen Camp, why not? Put a pin in his name on your waiver wire, just cause. He's thick, he's got a high BMI, and yeah, there's that. And Amari Rodgers, I guess that's a tick box the one tick box we can tick. Like, he doesn't look at all like Calvin Johnson, but technically he looks a little more Calvin Johnson-like than most players in this class. In fact, as Calvin Johnson-like as Jamar Chase. That's a ridiculous sentence, and hopefully that does the job, right? Hopefully that does the job of the ridiculousness of, trying to find some magical balance of between 3 or 4 numbers that tell you more. Really, it's just good players have different prototypes, and you hope they have more physicality because there is a path to the highest of highest upsides, which is Calvin Johnson. But sometimes those upsides look like A.J. Brown, not just Julio. And sometimes they look like Antonio Brown as well. And they are built different. I mean, Antonio Brown was an incredible physical man. Still is. Just not in the way Calvin Johnson was. And plays very differently. And so does A.J. Brown, and so does DK Metcalf. Even DK Metcalf isn't really that Calvin Johnson-like. Why didn't Metcalf come up? I think he used to. Am I missing a number for Metcalf? Now you got me all nervous. 310, and it's because he's got a 28 BMI. He's 6'3", 228 pounds. I should really memorize some things. You know what I mean? Calvin Johnson was 28 BMI, but he was 239 pounds. Okay. And he was 6'5". Wow, damn, Calvin Johnson. Pretty. Sorry, you have to be a pretty rare bird. When DK Metcalf is only scoring a 310, he's literally 6'3", 228 pounds, and ran a 4.3, and I can't get him as close to to Calvin Johnson as Chase Claypool. Anyway, but yeah, 310, that still kicks the butt out of anyone you're actually considering drafting this year in terms of Calvin Johnson, and this class really just doesn't have that. And that's one of the interesting things about the 2021 class. Everyone's talking, this guy's got a higher BMI, this one's slightly faster, this one was taller. It's like, this is team tiny wide receiver. Just get used to it. You've got Taylor Wallace, who's now just a depth chart wonder, and hopefully not, but still, and Jamar Chase. The only one you could possibly make that argument for with anything like the production that Calvin Johnson put up in college. And again, that's why this class is trade up for Chase, get out of here. Or maybe get Bateman. Or that's me anyway. Or Smith, Rondo Moore, Elijah Moore. They all look good. But anyway, I'm digressing. I'm going to go. Calvin Johnson index. Who knew that I forgot to do that for this class? Because I didn't care. But I've done it now. Then that's a YouTube video, apparently. Thanks for checking it out. Appreciate it.